So Acer has just wrapped up their global press event, and they talked about all sorts of stuff, but they also introduced quite a few new Chromebooks, including this one that we have here in front of us. A lot of these new Chromebooks aren't going to launch until later on this year, or some of them even early next year here in the States, but we do have an early version of the Chromebook 515 here with us. We're going to jump in the box and check it out. Okay, so before we jump in the box, the device that we're unboxing here, and I don't even know if we'll be able to review this. This is really a pre-production kind of device, but it is maxed out. We're talking 11th gen Core i7, I think, maybe i5 on this one. Yep, sorry, i5, but with 256 gigs of storage. Yep. And 16 gigs of RAM. So we're talking some pretty high-end specs here. This thing will be available in Core i3 models, Core i5 models. Right now, the two specs that we know that are going to become available later in the year, it's going to start at $799, I think, for the Core i5 8128. So that's $799, and then drop to $649 for 8 gigs of RAM, 128 gigs of storage with the Core i3. And again, as we say all the time, if you aren't worried about being able to play some games via Steam, Borealis, and all that stuff that's coming to Chromebooks, if that's really not a thing for you, the Core i3, especially in this Tiger Lake, is way more processor than just about anyone needs, and that's the one we would recommend going with. But there's a couple other variations here too. We got touchscreens and non-touch screens and all that kind of stuff, but we got backlit keyboards and fingerprint scanners and all sorts of other stuff that we're going to check out in this bad boy. So with all that said, let's hop into the box. Let's see. And general fare here for Acer. A lot of their presentation was about sustainability and stuff. So, you know, brown paper boxes and, you know, environmentally safe stuff. It's all good. You know, I've talked at length sometimes about like thoughtful boxing, but honestly with standard Chromebooks, I think a brown box is just fine. So we got a detachable block, USB Type-C charger, nothing special there. And again, this is pre-production, so there's a chance maybe they put a different charger in there. I don't know. So don't read too much into some of these things, packing materials, all that kind of stuff, because again, pre-production, so Acer has made sure that we know that with this device. So take everything you see with a little bit of a grain of salt here. So right off the top here, very nice top, very Acer looking device here. It is an aluminum lid, so that's nice. We're on the bottom, definitely plastic here on the bottom. We'll crack it open here in a second and take some more looks. But, you know, the design language here is, you know, that similar kind of scooped thing that Acer has been doing for years now. Well, let's talk about the ports that are over here. We've got a micro SD card slot. We've got a USB Type A, USB Type C, Kensington lock, fans around the back. And over here on this side, we've got a full-size HDMI slot. Always a fan of seeing those ports. Another USB Type-C, headphone, microphone. And again, nothing along the front. You get that nice chamfered edge around the top here. I don't know if I can hit the light just right there, but I like seeing that. It's an easy giveaway that that's an aluminum or a metal piece. Where obviously, let me see here. Yeah, we're not seeing that on the bottom over here because the bottom of this thing is plastic. So with that in mind, this is a 15-inch device. And so let me crank the screen brightness down a little bit. And it's a review unit. This thing's been turned on before. You know, it's relatively firm, to be honest with you. So, I mean, you can see there's not a ton of wiggle there. There's a little bit. And an all plastic chassis, especially when it gets this big, there's going to be a little bit of that. So it's something to think about. You know, I like, if they're going to include plastic, I'd rather them do metal on the top up here with the keyboard and then put a plastic bottom on it maybe, but this is all plastic. And while I think that's a little unfortunate, it doesn't feel flimsy. Like I'm holding it by the corner here and it's not wobbling a ton. Yeah, you can probably see a little bit of give there. So it's not going to be the most sturdy Chromebook you've ever felt in your life. Again, when you get plastic across this large of a landscape here, you can start to feel a little bit of the flimsiness. Let's see what there's a little bit of give here in the keyboard, but not too bad. And overall it looks nice. The colors match, so it doesn't look wildly different from the top to the bottom. And it doesn't feel crazy heavy. Again, we can't really comment on the weight of this thing, but for a 15-inch Chromebook, this feels reasonable. Real quick before we jump inside here, there are fan ports along the bottom, and there's a pretty big fan grill right there in the hinge portion of it. But this is not a convertible device. So this is a clamshell. It's probably 180. Yeah. So it opens up all the way to 180 degrees. I've said this before. I don't know if that's terribly useful, but it is nice to know that kind of whatever angle I need at any given time, that this thing's going to have it. So let me take a quick look around here and see. Crank the brightness up while it's not pointing at the camera. And I can tell this is an anti-glare screen, which is nice. Anti-glare is great. 1080p, 16 by 9, 15.6 inches. So nothing out of the ordinary there. This one does have, yeah, this one's got touch on it. So multi-touch. There are going to be models that don't. I think they're all IPS though. Depending on, no matter which one you get, you're going to get an IPS screen here. So this is nothing crazy for Acer. This is a pretty standard screen setup here. But it just doesn't look, yeah, my guess is this is probably a 250 nit screen. So again, when we start talking about plastic chassis, a little bit dimmer screen, maybe they'll switch this out. They don't put this on the spec sheet to say that it's 250 nits, so maybe it ends up being 300 nits when it actually ships later. Probably not going to be the case. So some of these things you need to know going in if you're looking at a $650 or an $800 device, because this thing packs the specs inside. So you need to know what you're getting on the outer portions that match up with those inner portions. And as I said, on the outside, you get some cool stuff, even though everything for me right now isn't completely perfect. You got a backlit keyboard that doesn't have a ton of light bleed. You get kind of these nice little scooped keys, and the keyboard feels good. There's a nice amount of travel. It's quiet. And relatively clicky. Like this feels like it's going to be a really good keyboard to type on. And honestly, Acer's just been getting better and better with their keyboards generally just across their devices. So that feels really nice. You get the numeric keypad over on the right side, which is always a nice addition. You've got a massive glass trackpad here. Again, I've got relatively large hands, and this, like all my fingers will fit on this bad boy. So glass trackpads are nice. Click mechanism feels great. It's nice and quiet. So I mean, again, it's all these like trade-offs, right? Maybe not the brightest screen in the world, but you're getting a really nice trackpad of what feels like a really good keyboard, backlighting. You've got this right here, which is a fingerprint scanner. Always a nice addition. And I like this spot. I like for the fingerprint scanner to be down here versus way up here on the top. It's nice because if you're going to pick it up like this and it's not unlocked, you can add your thumb as a finger. And then whenever you're just regularly approaching it, just kind of add your right hand over here as a fingerprint. And it's a much easier way to unlock your Chromebook. Again, I've said it 100 times. I wish this was on all Chromebooks, but it's reserved for certain ones. You also have the privacy shade up here at the top. Don't know if Joe can get that one on camera or not, but again, this is one of those other things. I'm just like, at this day and age, 2021 going into 2022, privacy shade on your camera. This is a small addition. It's a little plastic piece that slides in front of the camera. This is great to have. This is something I think most Chromebooks should have going into, again, 2021, 2022. And there is another fun addition down here. I've not seen this, I don't think, on any other Chromebooks. It doesn't mean the other Chromebooks don't have it, but a little sticker that goes down with this other Intel sticker. If you like stickers, no one does, but these are always hard to get off too, which is kind of a bummer. But seeing the Iris Xe graphics on there, we've known they're part of it. If you have an i5 or i7 in the Tiger Lake realm of chips, we know that Iris Xe is part of that. But it's kind of cool to see the sticker on there to know, like, hey, this one's got a little beefed up GPU in here. Again, for when we get some stuff that really is going to take advantage of that. Now, I don't need to run any benchmarks on this. I don't need to run a bunch of checks to see what's going on with this thing. It's a Core i5 Tiger Lake. It's going to be an absolute monster. But the questions become, like, what's the battery life going to be like on it? With a big thing, a big chassis like this, a big Chromebook like this, a lot of times the battery's plenty large, and it actually turns into pretty good battery life. The screen's not crazy bright, so you don't have to worry about kind of blowing that out. So it should have pretty good battery life. It's not crazy heavy, and this gives you a nice big palette to work on if you're working from home, or if you're taking this thing to the a coffee shop or something like that to get your main work done. Because they're also launching a version of this that's kind of an enterprise version. It's going to be the same Chromebook, but it'll come with that enterprise license and upgrade and all that kind of stuff with it, obviously at a little bit steeper price. But that's about it for this one for right now as far as what we can tell you about it. I don't think I'm going to get to review this particular one. Again, it's pre-production, so there's some things that may not be finalized on it, and Acer obviously wants to send us the ones that are going to be in stores. So what I can tell you about this is it puts together a lot of good things here that I can already tell. Like, I don't love the all plastic bottom chassis. I'm not a huge fan of that. But ultimately, I mean, a backlit keyboard with a numeric keypad, great keys, privacy shutter, touchscreen, anti-glare screen, glass trackpad, fingerprint scanner, massive internals. This thing's going to be great for a lot of people. And again, Acer has a tendency to put their Chromebooks out there and then they go on sale. So even the Core i5 of this thing, even it's at its $800 price or $800 price point, it's likely going to fall to $650 to $700, and these are some pretty impressive specs for that kind of money. And again, if you don't need the GPU and all that kind of stuff that goes with the Core i5, the Core i3 is going to start at $649 and probably go on sale all the time for like $550 or maybe even $500. So all of a sudden, this becomes a really compelling overall package at that kind of price point because you're getting a lot of stuff, a lot of performance under the hood for that kind of money. But guys, that's it for this one. If you enjoyed this video, give us a thumbs up. Head down there and hit that subscribe button and make sure to ring the notification icon as well if you'd like to be alerted when we make future videos just like this one. Until next time, we'll see you.